Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're plunging into a really interesting cinematic story. Picture this. You got this iconic horror doll, M3GAN, right? She danced, she killed, she was everywhere. And then the sequel tries something really different, a major pivot. We're digging into the M3GAN film series, specifically M3GAN 2.0, and what its performance might mean for the whole planned universe around her. Our mission today, let's try and unpack why this movie, which really aimed to evolve M3GAN, kind of stumbled at the box office. And what does that tell us about, what we expect from AI characters? Okay, so let's set the scene a bit. That first M3GAN movie, oh wow, huge sleeper hit. It made, $180 million globally on a budget of just $12 million. Pretty staggering. Definitely caught a lot of people off guard, even folks who thought, well, it's just another killer doll thing. Yeah, the feedback we saw, and just generally people seem genuinely surprised, like, hey, this is actually good, which makes what happened with the sequel even more baffling.
Right, and what's super interesting, I think, is how the sequel, M3GAN 2.0, tried to change things up. It went for a big genre swap. It definitely moved away from straight-up horror, more towards sci-fi, maybe even action.
Stuff action feels right.
And they tried to evolve M3GAN herself. Not just the killer doll anymore, but something more complex. Some might even argue like a flawed heroine. It dug into themes like AI safety, hidden motives, the whole idea that technology isn't a simple fix. And honestly, the analysis we've looked at suggests it handled these ideas pretty thoughtfully. It wasn't dumbed down. It offered an AI character you could maybe possibly root for.
Okay, but then the box office, that's where the story takes a sharp turn, right? Despite all that ambition and high hopes, Blumhouse was apparently tracking a potential $45 million opening weekend.
Which would have been huge.
Huge. Instead, M3GAN 2.0 opened to just, $10.2 million here in the U.S.?
Ouch. Yeah, that's a big miss compared to expectations.
And Jason Blum, head of Blumhouse, he was pretty candid about it. He admitted they might have, quote, classically overthought how powerful people's engagement was with M3GAN. He specifically mentioned the difficulty of trying to flip her from a bad guy into a good guy without losing the core audience.
Yeah, that's the tightrope walk, isn't it? It shows how maybe audience engagement isn't just about liking a character. It's about liking them in the role you expect.
The context matters. The genre matters.
Exactly. So the big question this raises is, what does this mean for the future, for the, M3GAN cinematic universe they were planning?
Right, because there's more in the pipeline where they were supposed to be.
Precisely. This performance, well, it definitely casts a shadow over things. There's that spin-off, SOLM8TE, which I think is slated for early 2026.
January 9th, 2026.
And its premise about an AI android becoming a deadly soulmate for someone grieving. It sounds like it leans back into that darker, potentially horror-tinged territory, sort of like that film Subservience, maybe.
Could be.
It makes you wonder if maybe audiences just aren't quite ready, or perhaps willing, to see AI jump from clear villain to something else, especially when the horror hook was so strong initially.
I get that. Stick with what works. But on the other hand, don't characters need to evolve sometimes? Isn't there a risk of just repeating the same formula?
That's the counter-argument, absolutely.
And one strong point coming from the sources we looked at is that, hey, maybe M3GAN 2.0 didn't deserve to slop like this. The argument goes, we see AI as villains all the time in movies, just pure evil robots or cold, calculating machines.
It's the default mode, almost.
Right. And this film, maybe, tried something braver. It offered, as one source put it, an AI heroine we can root for. Flawed, yes. Complicated, definitely, but potentially heroic.
A more nuanced take.
Exactly. Which is pretty rare when you look at how AI usually shows up on screen, all dystopian warnings and cautionary tales. So yeah, this deep dive leaves us with this kind of fascinating puzzle. A movie tried to push the envelope with its AI star, but maybe it pushed audience expectations too far, or perhaps too fast.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? In a world already kind of saturated with those scary AI stories, are we as viewers actually ready for AI characters that grow beyond being just the bad guy? Are we maybe more comfortable when the AI is just a clear threat, rather than something complex, something that might even be heroic in its own way, grappling with its own nature?
Yeah. And this whole situation is a stark reminder, isn't it? What you choose to watch or maybe not watch really does send a message. It shapes the stories that get funded and made, especially when we're talking about how we portray something as complex and evolving as artificial intelligence on screen. Definitely something to mull over until our next deep dive.